My people, gather round because what I'm about to tell you, and if you like gist that will hold your throat, scatter your imagination and refuse to release your attention to the very last second. This one is for you. Imagine two Nollywood stars, Bryan Okwara, the smooth-talking gentleman with a smile that can cause confusion, and Sonia Uche, the quiet but strong leading lady with eyes that can read your entire soul. Now imagine that the whole entertainment industry suddenly found itself whispering about one mysterious night. One conversation. One decision. And a secret neither of them planned to reveal. But before you conclude anything, relax. Because this story, the more you think you understand it, the more it will twist like Lagos traffic. According to the gist flying around backstage in the industry, you didn't hear it from me. Everything started with a single voice note. Not a long one. Just 7 seconds. 7 seconds that changed everything. Bryan was on a movie set, inside his car, rehearsing lines for a romantic scene. You know how he is, very serious when it comes to getting his emotions right. The man will act love like he invented the feeling. He mistakenly hit send instead of delete. And guess who the message went to? Sonia Uche. The voice note was supposed to be part of his scene, but out of context, it sounded like something else entirely. Reports backstage said the message sounded like, "Look, I'm done fighting this. I can't hide it anymore." Just that sentence. Nothing else. No explanation. Sonia saw it. Listened. Paused. Listened again. Then she did something unexpected. She didn't reply. You see, silence can be louder than shouting sometimes. Bryan waited. And waited. And waited. Nothing. Meanwhile, Sonia was on her own set, filming a village romance movie. But behind the scenes, she kept replaying the message. Not because she believed it, but because, according to close insiders, she couldn't figure out why those words sounded too real. She didn't want to jump to conclusions. After all, the industry is full of mix-ups, leaked lines, and accidental recordings. But even she admitted to herself, privately, that something about Bryan's tone didn't sound like acting. And that was how curiosity entered the chat. Days later, the two of them ended up cast in the same film, a last-minute pairing that nobody expected. The director didn't even let them know beforehand. So picture the scene. Sonia walks into the rehearsal room. She looks up and sees Bryan staring right back at her. For a few seconds, the place went quiet. Crew members raised eyebrows. Somebody in the corner even muttered, "It don't happen." Bryan cleared his throat first. Sonia looked away first. No one knew what was happening, but the tension in that room could power Nipper for one full day. The director paired them for a romantic fire-for-fire scene. Coincidence? Or destiny playing games? Only God knows. During the shoot, something wild happened. Their scene required them to argue, real heated argument. But midway, Bryan suddenly switched from the script and added a line that wasn't written anywhere. He looked Sonia dead in the eyes and said, "Why are you running from what you heard?" Silence. Camera still rolling. Director frozen. Crew confused. Sonia blinked. Her acting dropped for a second. She wasn't expecting that. But like the pro she is, she fired back. "Why did you send something you couldn't explain?" Omo. That moment alone could sell the entire movie. The chemistry was too real to ignore. People on set whispered for days. After filming one evening, Sonia was heading to her car when she saw Bryan leaning on his own car bonnet. He didn't smile. He didn't pose. He just said, "I need to clear the misunderstanding." And that was the conversation that changed everything. Bryan explained that the voice note was part of a script, but he also admitted something else: the emotions in that audio weren't entirely acting. Sonia didn't admit anything back. She didn't even nod. She simply said, "I hear you." But as she walked away, she smiled the kind of smile you only smile when something unexpected has entered your heart quietly. Now here's where the whole gist scattered the industry. A few weeks later, people noticed something. Whenever Sonia and Bryan were in the same place, something shifted. Conversations felt warmer. Scenes felt deeper. Interviews felt suspiciously synchronized. Nobody said anything publicly. Nobody confirmed anything. But anytime their names entered the same sentence, fans' hearts began to race. Even movie producers started pairing them more often, not because of rumors but because the chemistry was too natural to waste. Some say they became close friends. Some say they understood each other differently after that incident. Some say the vibe was just creative alignment. But the real truth, only two people know. And neither of them is talking. My people, you know how industry gist can be. Stories fly. Opinions scatter. Fans assume. Bloggers conclude. But between Bryan Okwara and Sonia Uche, one thing remains constant. There is a mystery nobody has cracked. A connection nobody has defined. And a story fans will never stop talking about. Maybe the voice note was destiny. Maybe it was accident. Maybe it was something deeper neither of them planned. But until they choose to speak, we'll all just sit back. Watch their movies. Study their chemistry. And wait for the next twist in this unpredictable Nollywood story. Because if there's one thing we've learned, when it comes to Bryan Okwara and Sonia Uche, the gist never really ends. It only gets more interesting. After that mysterious parking lot conversation, Sonia tried to move on like nothing happened. She buried herself in work, scripts, and rehearsals. She even avoided lingering too long after scenes, so nobody would read unnecessary meanings. But something strange began happening on set. Whenever she and Bryan finished a romantic scene, the director kept yelling, "Perfect. No need for retake. You two should act together more often." Why? Because anytime they looked into each other's eyes, the camera caught a spark that didn't look like acting. A spark you can't fake. A spark that made editors pause and replay clips silently. Crew members would whisper small. Are they acting, or is this something else? But you didn't hear that from me. One evening, the director called Sonia and Bryan aside. He held a new version of the script. And he told them, "I'm changing your storyline. The chemistry between you two is too real to waste." The new script required them to act. A lover's quarrel. A painful breakup. And a reunion filled with tears. Sonia was shocked. Bryan just smirked like someone who had been expecting the twist. But here's where the matter got deeper. During the breakup scene, Sonia had to deliver a line about betrayal. According to those who watched it live, her voice cracked in a way that wasn't in the script. People said it looked like she was speaking from a place she didn't want to open. Bryan stepped closer, held her arms in the scene, and whispered, still in character, "Don't walk away. Not again." The director was stunned. Nobody shouted, "Cut." The emotions looked too real. When the scene finally ended, Sonia quietly walked off set, without looking back. And guess who followed her? Exactly. Shortly after that emotional shoot, paparazzi-style whispers began spreading. Because someone spotted Bryan and Sonia sitting together at a quiet, secluded cafe. Not front table. Not middle. Back corner. Where only people who want privacy go. They didn't sit like colleagues. Not too close. Not too far. But the body language. Is sweet die. Bryan was leaning forward, talking calmly. Sonia was holding a cup with both hands, nodding occasionally like someone opening up. No one heard what they were discussing. But people noticed something. They left separately, but the damage had been done. Everyone in the industry now knew something was cooking, even if it wasn't labeled yet. Fans are the real investigator. Once they sense something, forget it, investigation mode activated. People started editing clips of Sonia and Bryan together. Behind-the-scenes videos. Joint interviews. Any movie scene where they acted as lovers. Comments everywhere. Why is their chemistry like this? Are we sure there's nothing real happening? This pairing is too sweet, abeg. Even producers notice the hype and immediately rush to cast them together again. But here is where it gets juicy. A rumor suddenly started circulating. Not from bloggers or not from the internet, but from someone inside the industry. The rumor claimed that Bryan was considering a personal project, a movie he wanted to produce privately, and he requested only one name as his female lead: Sonia. When this gist leaked, some people said it was business. Others said it was something deeper. Others said it was simply creative connection. But the most interesting part: sources claim Bryan didn't want to use any other actress, even though big names were available. Why Sonia? That's the question the entire industry began asking. Sonia later revealed to her close circle that one night, when she least expected it, Bryan called her. Not for work. Not for scripts. Just to talk. They spoke about life. Their journeys. Their fears. And their plans. It wasn't a romantic call. It wasn't a dramatic call. It was the kind of calm, gentle conversation two people share when something unspoken is growing between them. People who overheard snippets of their chat said they were laughing like old friends reuniting after a long time. From that day, insiders said something quietly shifted between them. A bond formed. Not defined. Not labeled. But unmistakable. Now this part. This is the gist that kept everyone talking. During one interview, the host asked Bryan, "Which actress do you feel most connected to on set?" The entire room paused. Everyone expected him to mention one of the usual names. But instead, he smiled in a mischievous way and simply said, "There's someone. Someone very special to work with." He didn't call the name. But Sonia, who was watching from her makeup area, reportedly froze. When she was asked a similar question weeks later, she said, "I have someone I enjoy working with. But let me leave it at that." Two people. Two answers. Same energy. No names. Fans joined the dots immediately. Producers joined too. Even their colleagues started teasing them on set. But the two of them, they never confirmed. Or denied. And that's what made the gist even sweeter. Till today, insiders still say Bryan and Sonia share a rare connection, not loud, not dramatic, but deep and quiet. Nobody knows what they are to each other. Nobody knows what they are not. Maybe the voice note incident was fate. Maybe the unexpected pairing was destiny. Or maybe it was all one long coincidence that turned into a bond only the two of them understand. Whatever the truth is, one thing remains sure. Their story is still unfolding. And the world is still watching. Because the chemistry between them is a gist that refuses to end. Some stories close. But this one is still the right itself. One day on set, the director prepared a powerful, emotional moment for Sonia and Bryan. It was supposed to be a confession scene between their characters, simple, straightforward. But what happened that day was not in the script. Lights were on. Cameras were rolling. The set was quiet. Sonia walked into the scene, her character angry and confused. Bryan's character was supposed to apologize to her, gently. But instead, when the director shouted action, Bryan went off script again. He stepped forward slowly, looked straight into Sonia's eyes, and said something nobody expected. "I'm tired of pretending." You could hear a pin drop. Sonia froze, because the line sounded too real. Not scripted. Not rehearsed. Her voice trembled, completely naturally, when she responded. "Pretending about what?" Bryan paused for 3 seconds. Not acting pauses, real-life pauses. Then he whispered, "You know?" The director didn't shout, "Cut." Nobody moved. Everyone watched as two actors drifted into a moment that wasn't for the cameras anymore. When the scene finally ended, everyone clapped, not because it was good acting, but because it felt like they had just witnessed something personal. Bryan walked away quietly. Sonia remained standing, processing everything. A few days later, Sonia walked into her makeup room and saw a small package on the table. No name. No note. Just a beautifully wrapped box. Inside, a simple wrist bracelet. Nothing too loud. Nothing too flashy. But one thing stood out. On the inside, engraved carefully, was a tiny message. For your strength. People said Sonia didn't tell anyone who gave it to her. But she wore it often, especially on days she was shooting with Bryan. Coincidence? Who knows, but the whispers in the industry became louder. Something is going on between these two. Even their gifts have hidden messages. Omo, this one passed just colleagues. Yet both of them acted normal in public, professional, respectful, polite. No slip-ups. No confirmations. No interviews revealing anything. Just that quiet bracelet and a quiet connection. On one particular night shoot, there was a sudden blackout. Total darkness. Generators failed. Lights off. The entire set became quiet. People brought out their phone flashlights, but still, everyone was scattered. Some crew members said that in the darkness, Sonia mistakenly grabbed Bryan's arm, thinking it was a female crew member guiding her. When she realized who it was, she let go quickly, too quickly, almost stumbling. Bryan caught her immediately. No cameras. No lights. No audience. Just two people in the dark breathing softly. Holding each other without explanations. According to someone who was close enough to feel the moment, but not see it clearly, Bryan quietly said, "You're safe." And Sonia whispered, "I know." When the light eventually returned, they stepped apart immediately, almost like the light exposed something private. People noticed. Trust me, they noticed. Weeks later, they both attended a major Nollywood event. They didn't arrive together. They didn't walk the red carpet together. They didn't even sit together. But at some point during the event, cameras caught a moment. Sonia was fixing something on her outfit, a stubborn pin. Bryan happened to walk by. He paused, leaned in, and adjusted it for her. It took less than 5 seconds. But the camera flashed. No rest. The picture went viral immediately. Fans analyzed it like forensic scientists. See the way he's looking at her. Look at her smile. These two are hiding something, I swear. Both of them ignored the boss publicly. But privately. Sources said Sonia laughed when she saw the picture. And Bryan simply shook his head like someone who knew this gist was not ending anytime soon. At this point, the chemistry was so obvious that even movie producers began planning franchises around them. But then, something unexpected happened. Bryan requested a meeting with Sonia. One-on-one. No scripts. No crew. No cameras. Just the two of them. He allegedly told her, "We can't keep letting the industry decide our story." Sonia didn't interrupt him. She listened, calm, steady. Then Bryan asked her a question that changed the direction of their connection forever. A question nobody expected. Not, "Are we dating?" Not, "Do you feel something for me?" Not, "Should we make this official?" But rather, "Do you want your story to be written for you? Or with you?" That question shook Sonia. She reportedly took a long, deep breath and said, "I don't want any story forced on me." And Bryan simply replied, "Good. Then let's choose what we want," quietly. What did they choose? What did they agree on? Nobody knows. But from that moment, their energy shifted from accidental connection to intentional understanding. Till today, their relationship, whatever it is, remains one of the most mysterious, most intriguing, and most quietly beautiful connections Nollywood fans obsess over. Not because it's loud. Not because it's confirmed. Not because it's dramatic. But because it feels real. A connection that started by accident, grew unintentionally, deepened unexpectedly, and remains undefined publicly. Some bonds don't need labels. Some stories are better when they are not explained. And some gist will always continue because the people involved refuse to spoil the magic. With Bryan and Sonia, the best part of their story is the part they haven't said yet. And that silence. Now they make the gist sweet pass.